Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Can we please rise for the pledge? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll open the meeting up to public comment, and just a reminder that the front end of the public comment is for agenda items only. So if there's anyone that would like to address the board with a comment, just state your name and glad to entertain it. Okay, we'll close public comment, and tonight we have a special occasion to introduce our new student-elect representative, Lily Skro. Congratulations for being appointed by your peers to join us on the Board of Education. Thank you. At this time, we'll ask our district clerk to
take the oath. So Lily, I'm just going to have you raise your right hand and just repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties discharge
the duties
of my position as student representative for the Highland Central School District
of my position as student representative for the Highland Central School District
according to the best of my abilities.
According to the best of my abilities.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations.
not to put you on the spot, Lily, but maybe you could just give us a little idea of why you decided that you wanted to run for the position of student rep.
Sure, yeah. I have gone to a couple meetings in my life as being a part of the Highland Central School District, and I've always been really fascinated on how we make decisions, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I ran, and I thought that I was a well-deserved person for the role. I take myself as a very responsible being, and I wanted to take action to be a part of this community.
We appreciate that. And we are open to your input, so don't feel like you have to wait on us to recognize you. Just raise your hand and jump right in. I mean, just like the rest of the board here. We'll work collectively and try to make the right decision for the student body and the community itself. Thank you, Lily. Okay, we have a special presentation this evening. Seal of Civic Readiness.
Right.
Yes, Ms. Saylor, all yours.
Hello. So I'm Christina Saylor. I'm really excited to talk to you about the initiative that we have started at the Highland Central School District for the 23-24 school year. Barry Rinaldi and myself spent the better part of our summer vacation here drafting the application for the Seal of Civic Readiness. Once we got approved, we were able to put this information out to the public. So what the Seal of Civic Readiness is a diploma seal that students can earn to show the community and to show the world really that they have certain civic knowledge and they have the ability to participate in our system, much like Lily is doing tonight. So I feel like it's something that as a social studies teacher is what brought me to the profession. And so being able to spend my day working with students who are excited and have great ideas is a huge part of it. So what Mr. Rinaldi and I came up with were based on what the state allowed us. Students have to earn at least 2 points for civic knowledge, and they have to earn at least 2 points for civic participation. There's a variety of ways that they can earn those points spelled out here on what I'm calling the menu, for lack of a better term. But if you notice on the civic participation side of the scale, let me just slide this up. The biggest point earner is the capstone project. This is supposed to be a year-long project where students either strengthen an asset in the community or address a need. And I am truly honored to have 5 students who are currently working on a capstone project to come here and share their little baby infant nugget of an idea for what they would like to work on this year. We're 4 weeks into a 40-week project. So it was brave of these students to start to talk about what they're thinking of, and I feel like I'm making them more nervous by saying all of that to you. But with that being said, I would like to give you a little sample of the kind of work that we're going to have students participating in because we are now offering them this honor and this opportunity. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Daisy. Come on up, Daisy, and tell everybody what you're up to or thinking about being up to.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so we can learn a lot from the past, which is one of the reasons why we study history. Since the elderly have lived in a decade that seems unrealistic or bizarre to us, I thought it would be perfect to help older people share their life stories. Eventually, older people will pass. They'll be leaving this world with all this knowledge and taking their memories with them. They have lived many more years than we have, as a result, accumulating more life experiences. For my capstone project, I plan to find a way to preserve their stories for my generation and the ones to come.
Can we just have each presenter state their full name and maybe their grade?
Sure. Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Daisiana Ortiz. I'm a junior in 10th grade. I mean, sorry, in 11th grade. In 11th grade.
It's hard to go first. Good job, Daisy.
Now I'd like to introduce Rachel.
And Riley.
And Riley.
I'm Rachel Branda. I am a junior in Highland High School. And I'm Riley Klein, and I am a sophomore in high school. For our capstone project, we want to help educate our community on clothing donation and recycling, as well as the ecological sustainability of our planet. Educating our community on these issues is incredibly important to us, and making an effect towards a more sustainable world.
One aspect of our project that we hope to accomplish would be to host a table at each town event with information on what should be donated and what should be recycled, and the importance that this has for our environment, and an interactive activity for children, educating them on greenhouse gases. A tangent idea that we had was to talk with elementary schoolers about the responsibility that we have to our environment in terms of clothing recycling and donation, as well as the communities that this could aid.
And now I'd like our peer to welcome our peer Danica.
Hello, my name is Danica Hasbrook, and I am a senior at Highland High School. Growing up, and even today, I felt left out in cultural celebrations and classes because as far as I knew, I had no culture. I sat back and watched as my classmates shared the interesting foods they ate and the traditions they celebrated. I loved these presentations. I was fascinated, but I wasn't sure what traditions I could share. My project focuses on creating a process where all students can take part in these celebrations while sharing and learning about their own culture, because everyone deserves to celebrate their culture.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Riley. I'm a senior at Highland High School. So I love taking pictures, and I absolutely love being behind the camera and capturing all sporting events or even some school events that I've done. Being behind the camera has really allowed me almost to create a time capsule of all of our memories while we're here at Highland High School. And we see pictures posted on the school's Facebook, capturing moments from years ago. And I really would like our generation to be able to have that as well. And so for my project, I want to take this love of photography to the whole district. I've started to have this discussion with Mr. Murphy and Mr. Opitz about this all and to turn my passion into a project. I'm going to turn the floor back over to Mrs. Saylor.
So that's just one pathway to earn the civic seal, is to complete one of these capstone projects. I have about 30 projects pending right now. They're moving in all sorts of directions. I'm very excited to see kind of them come to fruition, and hopefully you can join us on April, I have to double check the date, 30th at our Civic Showcase, where students will be talking to members of the community and sharing what the projects turn into. So it's exciting. It's just one pathway to earn the seal, but I think we're going to have about 20 students this year, hopefully. So thank you. Sure.
Is there a way we can get, maybe even just follow up email, what the seal of civic praise looks like, as it'll be on the diploma for those who
We have to, we're currently waiting to hear from New York State to what the actual seals are. We also
nice.
plan to get them, they were very, today in class when I said, I'm gonna mention this, they said, make sure you tell them about the medals. We're gonna wear medals at graduation. They are, so, but I don't know how the ordering process, the logistics of that actually work at the moment, but as soon as we get that, we will certainly get it to you. And we're not the first school in New York State to do this, but we are one of the first in the immediate area, which is kind of cool. So we're among the first, I should say.
I get you girls to come up in front there.
You guys are gonna be famous. Thank you.
Christina, you're definitely sure it's the 30th?
I am not 100% positive on that.
When you have it,
look
can
at
you
the
just make sure I
calendar.
have it so I can make sure it's in my information to the.
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome, thank you.
I do have it on the school calendar out front in the high school. I'll double check.
Wonderful, great.
Yep.
Michelle, I have a question. If so, one of the classes you teach is the Citizens in Action. It's an elective, social studies elective. Do students have to be in the class in order to gain seal of readiness?
No, we deliberately designed the seal. Mr. Rinaldi and I were really specific to try to make this work for students who are involved in a BOCES work program or students that might, because this can also be an alternative pathway for students that don't pass one of the social studies Regents exams. This is a hands-on way for them to still be able to graduate.
Thank you. And how many students are in your class, that class now?
I have, I think 30. The number has fluctuated a little bit in the last week.
Does the class run every year?
Hopefully it has.
I actually know the answer to that,
Yeah,
but
I
I
know.
just wanted to.
It last ran, I think, in 2020, 2021, which is when the students were working. Many of you were on the board at that time on the mental health initiative as a class. This is the first time that the students are each drawing their own projects, and they're based on individual passions. So I was really careful about not to feed them too much in terms of an idea and have them start with something that they felt passionate about. Yes.
What are your plans to promote it? Because just thinking about, I'm looking at 2B, I'm thinking about Scouts where they do Eagle Scout projects.
Yes.
And Girls, like just thinking, so I guess what are the plans to promote it to kids who are not in the class right now?
So ideally, I'm actually in talks right now with Mr. Fisher. We're trying to figure out how to put this workbook on the website. So what you have in front of you is a worksheet. We actually have an entire handbook where these are hyperlinked. There's some issues, I think, maybe logistically with having our network where it's clickable for students that maybe are outside the network. So we're working through that. In addition, I've gone into social studies classes at the end of the year last year to promote it to those students. And I have several students who were not in the class that are actually still working on the seal through one of the other pathways. The class is the most straightforward way to do it, and it's easiest with the tracking. But part of what I'm doing with the seal is keeping track of all the students that are doing it in different ways. So an Eagle Scout project actually is involved enough that it may fall under the capstone project requirements by the time they're done with it, depending on how they do it. But I know we have a lot of students involved in community service organizations. So that's really what the service learning project is based on.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great ideas.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have our consent agenda, and it's from GA1 to C4, I1, 2, and 3. If you have anything that you want to pull out, we're happy to do that. as you see at the end of 4I, 1, 2, and 3, we did have our phase 1 bidding process. And these are the apparent low bidders that were qualified by our construction manager and our architect. And also, you'll see the bus lift award and the locker award. Those went through state contract. And they will be separate contractors that'll come in and do the bus lifts and the locker installation. So if you're okay, I'll entertain a motion to move the consent agenda forward. Tom, motion by Tom, second by Camille. If there's any item you want to pull out or any item you need clarification,
What was the last item as part of that consent?
The lockers. Yeah, the locker, all the way to 4I, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, so the bids are part of that.
Curriculum and instruction. Yes, the bids are part of that consent agenda.
I just have a question on C2, the standard workday and reporting resolution. Have we had that before, or is that?
Yeah, that's for me, and you will see that yearly with the claims auditor and the district clerk. It's a just thing that we have to do for the state.
Okay, thank you.
The only question, I know Scott Butler's here from the Palumbo Group. I know you're stuck your head around, I spotted you, Scott. In regards to the bus lift award and the locker award, I know they're through state contract. Do they follow the same parameters that are on their other 4 prime contracts, such as they have to be bonded, meet the insurance requirements of the district?
Issues their purchase order, we will put a rider in there tying them to the general conditions of the other prime contracts. Insurances, bonds, schedule values, safety, submittal processes, the whole line.
Yep.
And these bids in relation to the overall budget, we are at or below budget?
Scott, do you want to answer that?
We're above budget. Part of the packages submitted also includes alternates, additional work that was somewhat added, or let's get some pricing from the contractors. For instance, the elementary school, we added some classrooms while we're here. Does it make sense?
Right.
So a little bit of scope creep, a little bit of what was
all within the allowances that were.
We will have to take a close look. Phase 2 is up at SED. We're going to put an estimate together and really analyze that segment of work. But this is definitely.
We can't exceed the bond amount, right,
No.
Lindsay?
We can't
So,
correct.
So we were a little over $1 million.
1.1
million over our estimate for phase 1.
Costs. Yep. All right. Thank you.
But we did, like Scott said, which made sense. We entertained an alternate at the elementary school, which provided for us to do 8 classrooms, 8 of the corner classrooms, do the same upgrades we're doing with the majority of the other classrooms in that wing, in those wings, as far as removing the asbestos tile, new ceilings,
and doors and hardware.
And lighting.
Very cool.
The ceiling. So that, as Scott said, there's a little creep there with us accepting that.
That takes
but we felt
care
that
of the whole floor.
With the exception of the hallway, right, Pete?
That's fine, but each classroom gets touched.
Yeah.
I like that because this way, we talk about equity here all the time,
200 to 300 in the K wing.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other questions or concerns? We have a motion by Tom, second by Camille. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, under curriculum and instruction, our principal's monthly report. We'll start with the elementary school.
Stood up there.
Get ready.
That pause got me for a second. All right, first thing first, coming around is our Kind Cotton annual fundraiser, our Be Kind. You'll see in front of you. right, so just one additional thing to my report. I just really am super thankful to the building in general, super thankful to the tech department. There's a lot of, we got all the brand new phones, we got brand new boards. The entire staff was trained, not just like teaching staff, but TAs, everyone was trained on how to use these brand new boards. And obviously at the beginning of the year, everyone's like in a frantic and we're trying to get things ready. And, you know, Rich and the gang were down there to like make sure that everything was plugged in, ready to go, like so that day one there was no glitches. So I just want to say, you know, I can't thank them enough. I don't know how they did it, but they did it, and we're off to a good start. So thank you to the tech department for the heavy lift, especially for the short amount of time. So I just wanted to add that to my report. You guys have any questions?
Just a comment. I appreciate, thank you for the report, but I do appreciate how you speak very positively of all the departments, not just the tech department, but we've got lunch here, and Mr. Matthews mentioned, we've got facilities and transportation mentioned, and I think that's good leadership, so I appreciate those elements of your report.
Many hands make light work, right?
That's what they tell me.
Any other questions for Ian? Thank you, sir. Megan?
Good evening. Well, I was going to say thank you to everyone. I had a whole list of buildings and grounds in the cafeteria. It's all right here, so I just want to note that. We had a wonderful start to the beginning of the school year. And a huge shout out to our bus garage, our tech department, buildings and grounds, our cafeteria staff. The year has started awesome, and our kids are having a great time. And so are we, and Mr. Conrad are super thankful for everyone's help that they've given us this school year. And we're super excited to see what the year brings. So
You're trying to tell me that scribble?
it is right there, I promise. And last year we did the fundraiser for our PTA. They just sent these home the other day to all of our parents. So I wanted to send one out to you guys as well. So you just pass this down. That's all I had for this evening.
Any questions?
Just some comments. Must have had some time on my hands because I read everything thoroughly. I appreciate the fire, water, earth, and air. I'm a Avatar Last Airbender fan myself, and so I catch that. Very cool. If any of you caught the movie, I'm still looking for M. Night Shyamalan to create the second one. Anyway, I appreciated the, you had asked, I think, Camille, about Hispanic Heritage Month. I thought the middle school did a real nice job highlighting their activities around Hispanic Heritage Month, so I thank you for that.
Yes, our PBIS team is very excited about the new houses. It's our first Spirit Week this week, and they're getting their points, and the kids are running up to the boards and checking everything out, so it seems to be working out really well so far.
Cool stuff.
Thank you.
Mr. Murphy.
Good evening, all. Following with Ian and Megan, we've had a great start to the year. A huge thank you to everyone for getting us where we needed to be, and Pete Miller and his crew, Rich and Kathy and John have all done a great job with supporting the needs of the high school. Just a couple of things to mention in addition to what I submitted. The Canada and Florida annual trips, those are in place to occur for Canada. It's the usual 50 or so students. The price for Canada this year is $589, which includes the travel medical insurance. This is slated for December 1st through December 3rd with the trip to Quebec. And more information will follow on this so that it can be put to the board for you all to approve, hopefully in the next meeting. And the Disney trip, the usual about 40 to 50 or so students. It's in the price range of around $1,250. That has not yet been solidified because they're waiting to try to find the lowest price deals on the flights. The hotel and Disney are all set, but they want to kind of wait to get the best deal on that. That's going to be taking place the weekend of April 13th to 14th, and they're waiting to finalize those official dates based on the flight information. So that too, as I get that, I'll be forwarding that along. So those are the updates on the annual trips that are taking place. As for remote learning, we are all set with that with device distribution. 10th through 12th grade kept their devices over the summer. Just the incoming freshmen received their devices. Rich worked with the English department, did a great job with the device distribution. So we're all set in the event we do need to go to remote learning. And then just one thing that I didn't have an opportunity to add to my report was with the recognition and celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. The Foreign Language Department, College Spanish 4 and 5, with Miss Otis and Miss Farrell's classes as well, are listening to various video snippets of numerous Hispanic notorieties and answering questions based on what they hear. So they're answering in Spanish. Extracurricularly, the Multicultural Club has created an informational bulletin board and is making regular announcements throughout the month. Social Studies Department has put up posters in all classrooms, in the social studies classrooms, to honor Hispanic heritage, and they're discussing Hispanic entrepreneurs in our society. The Science Department has introduced various Hispanic scientists and assignments that require students to research famous Hispanic scientists and write a paragraph or two about them are also being included. The English department is part of their self-exploratory unit. Students in the 9th grade English classes are learning about the Mexican painter Frida Kahlo and analyzing her painting, The Two Fridas, and discussing that further. The math department is completing worksheets about Hispanic American heroes. The music department in the concert band was introduced to Danzón No. 2 by Mexican composer Arturo Marquez, which was conducted by Venezuelan conductor Gustavo Dudamel and played by Simon Bolivar Symphony Orchestra of Venezuela. And lot there, it's a mouthful. And students in Ms. Ramirez's class will be reading about Lin-Manuel Miranda and learning about the history of chocolate in Guatemala. So this is taking place throughout Hispanic Heritage Month. Any questions at all?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, our directors, I believe we have all our directors here this evening, so if you have any questions for our director, feel free to shout them out and hopefully they can answer. I know, just to follow up on a question I believe, Mike, you had at the last meeting, because I know Lisa had shared some questions that board members had. I had a question regarding the generators during the blackout, the power outage that we had several weeks ago. Peter, can you address what the function of our generators are in the 3 campuses regarding power outages?
Yeah, there's no generator at the middle school. The generator at the elementary school and the high school operates IT, refrigeration, and some other support materials for that. Does not run the whole building. The generator at the bus garage runs the entire building because that was felt that in a situation where we were trying to get kids out or home or whatever, that we needed complete services at the bus garage in order to do that, and being a smaller building, it was feasible to do that. So.
What about lighting? Is there any lighting that these generators run?
Mostly not.
I mean, for the most part, power outages are going to last all day. We won't be able to have classes held because of the lighting and so forth. Unless it goes out during the course of the day, and then it's a different.
Yeah, depending on where you're at, but really, you know, unless you had power, you wouldn't be looking at the next day. That's not what those systems.
But that power outage affected all 3 campuses, correct?
No.
No.
It affected the middle school and high school.
Not the elementary.
Not the elementary school.
So Pete, I'm happy to hear that when we're installing these systems, we're hooking up critical systems right away. I'm familiar with, and I hear about, well, let's just buy the system, but then we don't hook it up. And, well, the cost is a little more than $150, gang. It's, you know, all of a sudden it becomes cost prohibitive to do it out of a general budget. And you're caught with a capital type expense. And I just want to make sure these systems are high leverage, since they are high leverage, we're hooking these things up. Sounds good, thank you.
Question, so during the course of the day, normal school day, big power outage, everything goes out. We don't have emergency light circuits.
There's emergency lighting in the buildings that'll last for probably 20, 30 minutes.
Right.
But in the daytime, there's typically enough light in the building that it's not an issue.
Right, okay, all right, thank you.
I think just to Kathy, we appreciate all the work you've been doing just to get the buses moving, with short staffing, so getting the kids to school in time and all the extra. This reading report, like you've done a lot of little moving people around. So
Yeah, now you can see the puzzle, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I'm like, should I put that in there? A lot of puzzle pieces. Thank you.
Just again, thank you to Peter. I know I had a lot of questions about the ventilation system at the last meeting. He put together a very comprehensive report on each building, and certainly answered all the questions that we had. And of course, we're out of that humid, sticky period now, and quite frankly, it's kind of chilly out there all of a sudden. So I appreciate all of that, but really all of our directors and leaders, smooth opening to school. I know you all work together, and just appreciate for everybody across the span, even if we're not riddling you with questions. Thank you for the reports. They were read.
Okay, no further questions for our director. And again, thank you to the group. We appreciate it. Okay, we have the student rep on the agenda. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add. We're not pressuring you right now. I know you, but if you want to add something, go right ahead.
Yeah, I have a few notes from all the schools, so
Good.
if I can go ahead and share some of those.
Well prepared.
Thanks. Starting with the elementary school, September 18th, 2 positive behavior intervention strategy assemblies were held, and Hudson the Husky greeted students with waves and high fives. Mr. McCormick created dance party vibes with disco lights and loud music. And the students were reminded of BARK, which is the acronym for Be Safe, Act Responsibly, Show Respect, and Give Kindness. The PBIS committee chairs Miss Alardi, Miss Casalino, Miss Canino, Mr. Sommerfeld, and Miss Elliott were greatly appreciated. Students were off to a wonderful start of the school year. For the middle school, the first few weeks of school were off to a great start. Things have been very positive, and the teachers and the students are eager to learn and grow throughout the year. Sticking to the theme of positivity, the Highland Middle School PBIS team, as mentioned before, launched a new house system, which is a positive and fun way for students to collaborate, connect, and achieve great outcomes for themselves and their peers. The entire staff and the student body have been randomly divided into the 4 houses, earth, air, fire, and water. For this year-long challenge throughout the school year, students will have the chance to earn points for their respective houses based on the positive outcomes such as achieving high grades, demonstrating acts of service, school spirit, and other challenges that will be planned throughout the year. They're excited to continue and build community, leadership, and school unity through the new PBIS initiative. Modified sports are underway, and there's a large amount of 7th and 8th graders participating this year, which is really exciting. Games have already begun, and we're looking forward to a successful season. At the high school, school pictures took place on September 13th, and the open house was on September 21st. Fall sports are in full swing, and late buses started today, so we're expected to have a lot of after-school clubs and activities that are going to ramp up. On October 2nd, the entire 9th grade class is going to be attending Ryan's Raising Awareness About Narcotics Ulster County Youth Rally at SUNY Ulster. This is a fun event to promote awareness and provide prevention surrounding disease of addiction. Former BMX champion Tony Hoffman will be the main speaker, sharing his life journey, battling addiction, and his road to recovery. Next week, October 2nd to October 6th, is School Spirit Week and Homecoming, and the Homecoming football game, which will be held on Friday, October 6th at 7 p.m. here against Marlborough High School. The Homecoming dance is also going to be held here October 7th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. at the high school. And those are all my notes. Thank you.
Any questions for Lily? Thank you. Okay. Mr. Timbers up? No, Patrick's up. Patrick's
Patrick's throwing them up. Just an update, our never-ending world of grants. We applied for Recove's grants last week to see if we could get, that's more of a competitive one, so we're not guaranteed. We don't have an allotment that is given to us, so we can put in for that. But there's going to be districts throughout the entire state putting in, so we'll see if we're able to get some of that money, hopefully to help us offset some of our mental health salaries. Last year we talked about a recruitment video. We did a lot of polling of staff. We took some video. So we just got the first rough cut of the video. So Ms. Coburn and I are going to be meeting with our staff from BOCES to go over the first rough cut with our hopeful finalized video coming sometime soon that we will definitely share with you guys. And that all stemmed from our staff diversity subcommittee on the direct committee that we were looking at. So we are very excited about that. So we will have that for you when it is ready to go. Last year, we had Ulster County was awarded a grant for a lot of mental health money specific to middle schools, and the county awarded the grant to LaSalle. So LaSalle was sending a caseworker and a clinician to each district within Ulster County to work with families and to help them get set up with supports outside of the school day. So to kind of partner with us, but some of the stuff that was beyond us a little bit to work with them. Unfortunately, they ran into a hiring crisis. We had a clinician for a little while last year, and we lost them for the rest of the year, and we still have not. They have not been able to find one. So we do have a caseworker who has encouraged us to continue to put in referrals to help support some of the families in some ways. But that is another little support, having another clinician to work with some of our families that unfortunately we're still missing because they haven't been able to find another person to replace them.
What other districts were affected by staffing shortages?
For that LaSalle specifically?
Yeah, because I don't want to just hear Highland.
No, and it's not just us. I'm not sure exactly who.
The county executive actually spoke about that at UXPA back in April, that they were having difficulty hiring folks for those positions. So it sounds like people found other positions.
We share. So typically they assign a caseworker and a clinician to two districts. And I want to say, I thought it was Marlboro, but it is Marlboro. That's what I thought. So there are districts having some difficulty with it as well. It's not just us, but we are. And it is an unfortunate thing when we heard that they were getting the money and we were excited about the extra support that was coming. So,
sure. Well, we face the same difficulties in certain certified areas too. So, thank you.
And lastly, we'll be submitting justification in one of our assessment areas. We did exceed the 1% cap on alternately assessed students. So students that we have deemed that they cannot take the typical assessments. The state has given a cap that it should not be more than 1%. So for our math, we were under, science, we were under, and for ELA, we were just over at 1.05%. So we have to work with the state and provide some justifications and then some training as well to look at how we do that. But again, if you look at the numbers, so close, so we had less students take the ELA assessment, which caused a little bit slight change in that. So we'll be working on that. That's it for me.
Any questions for Dr. Boyd? Okay.
Now you're up.
Good evening, everyone. You may remember last board meeting I had stated that Lindsay Idell and I were going to go to UPK Day at the State Ed Department, and we did go last Wednesday. So I'm happy to report that we attended. There were several sessions, and the sessions focused on completing the yearly application and how to handle various funding streams. We also had opportunity to meet with the Office of Early Learning Liaison, who was specifically assigned to our district. So we were able to sit and talk with him and ask some specific questions. And I'm sure Lindsay does agree. It was a day well spent for us. We got a lot of information that'll help us move the program forward. Again, with UPK, so elementary principal Ian McCormick and I visited our UPK provider. Well, let me back up. Dr. Boyd and I visited one of our providers, and then he couldn't see the other ones. There was a conflict, so I invited Mr. McCormick. So I went back to all three, and we were able to visit all three. We dropped off some curricular supplies, and Mr. McCormick was able to meet the teachers and see our students in the classrooms and talk to the directors. And that too was some time well spent, and I look forward to going back and inviting any of the administrators who want to join me to go see our students there. And finally, I'm happy to report that we have renewed our sponsorship for CTLE hours with New York State Education Department. CTLE stands for Continuing Teacher and Leader Education. As you may be aware, teachers certified since 2004 must complete at least, I should say teachers and administrators certified since 2004, need to complete at least 100 CTLE hours every 5 years in order to maintain proper certification. And so since I did a little research, a little digging, and since this past July 1st, our certified staff has completed 535 CTLE hours through various meetings and professional development in which they participated. And our sponsorship with the State Ed Department, it will be good through June 30th, 2026. So that's good news. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Any questions for Mr. Zimmer?
Thank you.
I'm not going to leave you out, Lindsay, but has the state given us any updates on the funding for UPK? I know it was kind of a gray area.
So we have to use the federal funds that were given to us last year first. So last year, correct me if I'm wrong, it was 221 for 38 students. So we have 40 students going into UPK. So we're allotted 38 of that 221. And then 2 students for the allotment that we got from the state for this year are going off of the $312,000 amount. So that is how the funding is going. We have to take the funding. It's per student. So the federal funds go first, then each state. So we're kind of playing catch up until we're able to get other seats. If we open up to other, really depends on, since we can't support this in-house, how much we get from other preschools outside of that.
From my understanding, that's going to be a big one for advocacy this year.
Mm-hmm. So we're not sure if the funding is going to follow the program from the state or the feds.
Right. So you're designated an amount from the state. So federal, that's gonna be gone after this year. State, since it's the new year, we met one-on-one with the representatives. So now we have a direct contact to talk to and get more of this information from. Hopefully the state will allocate another amount for us for the following year, and then we'll find out how much money per child that will be. We do have to allocate 10% of what we are granted from the general budget each year. So that is something that will be added to the budget going forward.
So somewhere down the line, we're going to have to self-fund the program. No doubt.
This was
very
never meant.
Very near future. So I mean, that's another.
No, there's a lot of support for this. This one rolled out in a very different fashion than other types of programs.
From our understanding, this is meant to help get us started, right. And that we don't really know going forward how much the state is going to allocate to us each year, but we do know that we have to use what we've already spent before we get an increase right. on the next child count.
And then the increases from each facility along the way, they're probably going to increase their fees per student.
Right, but we can change the RFP each year. So we can go out and tell the preschools that this is what we will be giving per child, and they can choose to participate or not participate. Right. This year they were given the option because we were under the understanding that we were getting federal and state combined, but that's not in fact what.
Right, and you said federal paid for 38 of the 40 seats and the state paid for 2.
For 2, because
So the
federal
state's
was
a
given-
long way. They don't have far to back out on this.
Our assemblyman was willing to push that.
But I like the way leverages our local providers along with the school. Other than, hey, all you K-12s, guess what? Now you're pre-K through 12s, and because many of us are at capacity with buildings. Yes, we've seen some minor enrollment, but new programs have sprung up that require space, time, and all these things in our buildings. So that's, working with local providers, I think, is a win-win for both the community and us for now. But the state's got a ways to ante up, if you ask me.
Yeah, the way they
and the
sold it.
statistics say it all.
Can you repeat the 10%?
So if we were allocated, so right now we're allocated the 221 and the 312. So $500,000, let's say. We had to, which we've done with the past resolution, to allocate 10%, so $50,000 needs to be supported from the general fund, transferred into our special aid fund once we get it. So that's going to be something new that you'll see on the budget going forward.
So it's at least that 10%.
It's at least 10%
this year.
We did more, yes, because we
It's almost a
allowed the
planned phase out,
preschools
probably.
to
They
choose.
keep requiring that 10%. As they phase out, you're being forced to phase in a budget.
Right.
Right. So we do have to pay them that. We have to pay out that $50,000, which we will this year. But going forward, that has to be budgeted for.
Thank you. Okay.
Have to follow that. That's like a downer.
Next one,
No,
I'll reverse
you
order.
know
You
what?
go
We
first.
won't end on that note. The truth is, what I believe people in the field are seeing is those students that attend those pre-K programs versus other are coming in more prepared and ready for school, and some of the skills that might be absent, which is what we heard about in years past. So I think that's the note to end on, that what it does for children.
It's a positive program.
Okay. Well, I would like to welcome Lily to the table. You did a great job of representing all 3 buildings, so we look forward to working with you. So welcome to the board. So just as a reminder, we had all of our open houses and curriculum nights in all of the buildings now. I mentioned at the last meeting that those would be taking place. They've all now been completed and they were highly attended. So thank you to the staff for putting in the time and energy with that. And I know the parents appreciated everyone being there. Tomorrow, Mr. Zimmer and I will be attending the Marist accreditation interviews. This happens from time to time where their teacher education program is reviewed. So we will be going to an interview tomorrow afternoon as part of the components school districts that take student teachers from that campus. Our district administration will be attending the fall conference at NISCUS this coming weekend. I know Alan's already talked about it. Thank you to the support services. They came in extremely early one morning so that we could get all that bid work behind us so that we could meet the deadline. We got everything approved this evening, so we are on track to getting all of that documentation in place so that we can hit the mark of this Friday that we wanted to get everything to the state so that it can be part of the aid generated for the upcoming school year. Policy committee met today. We discussed the 2 policies that we had talked about, the one from the direct committee and one on data and protection of data. So we should have those policies ready for board review. We made some adjustments to those. I'm hoping to have those to the board in your update so you can read them in advance. We're really hoping for the first readings to be at the next board meeting, so stay tuned for that. So thank you for that committee for getting together today. And then a question came in about tech integration resources. So thank you to the building principals and
Mr. Fisher, who worked throughout today getting me descriptions of all the different resources that are used across the district. I provided the board with a copy of that information today, and I'll also put it in my Friday update so that it's there for future reference should you want to take a look at that. And that's all that I have for this evening.
Any questions for the superintendent? Okay, we'll move on to Board of Education, new business. Anything new? Any new business you want to bring up?
Yeah, so I had mentioned at the last meeting that I thought it was time just for us to review our goals, and at your place setting, I handed out, and I just took this off our website, the Highland mission statement, the Board of Ed mission statement, Board of Education goals, and district goals. And we've talked about potentially pulling together for a retreat or some type of meeting like that, and I just thought that if we could just review these, and whether we reaffirm or change them around a little bit, it's always good to review goals at the beginning of a school year. And maybe, let's say, if they are going to change and bounce around, we'd want to adopt those at the second meeting of October. So, this can even be done independently, and share any thoughts either via email or at our next regularly scheduled. So,
way back in the past, we spoke about board goals and district goals at a retreat. We had some done in-house. If we can come up with some dates in the very near future, we could do it at that time, and then bring it to the board for the public setting for discussion.
I think a lot of us kind of offered up some days that we were available, and we'll just want to come back to that.
Do we have a few?
I put those in a recent update, but I didn't.
Everyone didn't agree to all those dates yet.
There wasn't agreement across the board.
You want to maintain a Tuesday?
I think that's what we said last time, is if we can maintain a Tuesday.
Yeah, I said Tuesday or Saturday.
And I think some of us said Saturdays were tough, so if we can maintain Tuesdays.
It can even be a board meeting. We're going to discuss goals, and if you want to come and sit there and
I'll
have
reach
us
out
talk
to
about get mandated training and stuff like that, so be it.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
And then we can do it then, or we could do it in a public setting. Discuss. All right. Anybody else have any comments? Okay. Okay. The committee met this afternoon, I believe, on direct policy discussion. Mike, maybe you can just give us a little update.
Yeah. So we reviewed several policies on that topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We found that the direct policy, or the proposed policy they put forward, had all of those things. So that was kind of the first step, is to qualify the policy they put forward. All the major components were there, and then we all kind of just read through, and I think they did a fantastic job. 95% of that is intact. There were some edits there. If anything, wordsmithing, maybe a little sanding of the edges here, but I believe we've got a policy to go back, and I would like direct to review that. We're doing this as a partnership, and we appreciate that partnership, and I value the time they put in. So after today's meeting, I just wanted to see that go back to them for a final read, let them be aware of what is going to be put forth to the board for a first reading. And, I don't see any hang-ups or hold-ups. As I said, what they presented was fantastic. There's just some minor edits to, if anything, to make it feel more policy-like. And that kind of thing. Some accountability pieces. You'll see when we get there. You'll like it.
Did our legal review this document?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. they come back with any comments?
Bill actually did the speaking on that, and they said that our policy was, the proposed policy was one of the better written ones that they've reviewed. That doesn't mean that we can't wordsmith some things, but we'll have them take a look at it again before we.
Has Erie Bosse's developed one also?
Yeah, we use
kind
that.
of mirrored Erie Bosse's?
Well, we really, NISBA had put out a policy on this, and that was really what we measured up against. But we looked at Erie one, I think Goshen, several other area policies that tend to really be policy review is really a well-oiled machine in some of these districts. So I took a look at a few of those, as did the members of the policy committee. But I would have to say between 5 and 6 policies were reviewed in the evaluation of what the committee put forward. And it really stood up very, very well.
Okay, anyone have any comments, questions, concerns with the policy as it's been developed? So we'll, hopefully with those little tweaks, we'll
I'm not sure if there's a direct meeting before the next, the next board meeting, but if not that meeting, it'll be the following.
we have 2 in October,
Yeah.
so we have the 10th and the 24th.
Yep.
Whether it goes back to the liaison or the committee, I leave that to you. But
sure.
I'll be meeting with the liaison on Thursday morning and reviewing what we had discussed.
Okay.
And I'll ask Harriet to bring back to the committee. And I believe the first direct committee meeting is October 17th, right in between our board meetings.
That'll work, because we'll have our first reading, we can push it to a second reading. Right. The second reading will be on the 24th, and we can adopt.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
All right. Okay, just the miscellaneous, also school board association meeting dates. I think Lisa sent that out to all of us through Shyla, and we have those. Anything for the good and welfare of the district?
I just want to say, I think I'll confirm, Lisa, but it looks like I'm going to make that October meeting. Okay. It is on a Thursday. I think it's the 17th, but they're setting they're talking about advocacy agenda. So that was one thing that I was just interested in.
Might have been October 12th.
12th, was it?
It might be the 12th.
I didn't have my reading glasses, so the 2 could have very well been at 7, or vice versa.
I know there's some conflicts with that date. That's why it's ringing a bell to me. So
I just figured that might be one that we want to voice our opinion. And I know that the NISBA convention is coming up, fall convention. Do we ever participate in the voting of those resolutions? There's some resolutions for boards to consider. No?
We get the delegate though.
I don't recall us voting on.
Not since my time here.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll probably delve. We're coming up against the deadline. Not that it couldn't be achieved, but I just want to take a look at those resolutions and see what types of topics, because I that's something we should participate in. And if there's some topics of interest or things that we're passionate about, we should pursue and adding in our voice along with those many other school boards across New York State.
Do you recall anything, Lisa? I coming from
having to vote?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, really? In email, I'm seeing a lot of NISBA emails in there that have info. So I will.
Will the vote take place during the convention?
Yes.
So,
and it is online, I believe. There's a way, you got to register the delegate. You got to do all this stuff.
The only vote I recall is the one that happens in April. That we deal with.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. No,
and for all I know, it's in April. But let me just review what I'm reading, and I will share with Al and Lisa.
Okay.
And then.
And
we'll see where it goes from there.
In the meantime, you are referring to the October 12th meeting,
Yes.
Mike? Do you want me just to go ahead and?
Well,
Confirm.
which October 12th meeting are you talking about? The
She's
Mid-Hudson
talking
School?
about UXPA now,
Oh, yes, I am.
the Ulster County School Boards Association meeting.
So I think
Yeah,
there's a
I'll
couple
confirm by email.
That's fine.
Let me just double
Yes.
check.
I'll put a thing in my update
Yeah,
this
I'd like
weekend
to,
for that
yeah.
too.
I'm cagey. I'm sorry. I try not to be really committal until I have to make a decision.
I just sent an email to you on that as well.
Yeah, I'll read it.
Okay. Anything else? Open the meeting back up to public comment. These could be general items. Mark?
I just, Al, I just want to clarify the 1.1 million over on phase one. And Mike made a comment that you can't go over the contract amount. So can you clarify how do you resolve that?
When the support service and the design team put rough estimates together, we had a rough estimate for phase one and we had a rough estimate for phase two. The total is what we presented to the voters and they voted on it. If phase one goes over a little bit, phase two could come under. There's other, we place into bid documents alternates where we can deduct certain phases, we can add certain phases depending on how the bids come in. So right now, it's an estimate. The phase one ran over the estimate a little bit. Not saying that we're gonna exceed the total allotted money that the voters approved. We can't do that by law.
What was the total again?
21.6.
Yeah.
21-ish million.
And that's what the soft costs included in that also, and the hard costs.
Yes.
So there's not a real big concern from the support service committee that we're over a little bit on phase one. We'll be able to adjust the bidding documents for phase two, still give the voters what they anticipated, and we just have to tweak a few things if need be.
Okay, thanks, appreciate it.
And bottom line is, in any municipal bids, if contracts, bidding comes in above what's the allotted money, you have the option to, drop back, rescale the project, and put it back out to the bidders. But we're governed by the total amount from the voters.
Right. And the group worked as fast as they could to get it to market. And why do you want to do that? Because costs just keep going up. I'm hearing something about gas now over the next month. So, all that has impact.
Thanks.
They've done a good job.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Camille, second by Heather. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Whatever.